Welcome back, everyone, to theCUBE special presentation here in our NYSE CUBE studios. This is a part of theCUBE, Palo Alto and Wall Street connection, connecting tech in Silicon Valley and the West Coast, obviously with Wall Street. Deepak Singh, Vice President of Developer and Agents Experiences at AWS, CUBE alumni, is here for exclusive coverage of the big news. He's got some big press conferences happening here, and of course, at AWS Summit, where everyone gathers in New York one time a year. It's the midpoint between reInvent. It always is a great event. The whole ecosystem, news has been accelerating. Obviously, it feels like, Deepak, welcome to theCUBE. Thanks. First of all, welcome to theCUBE. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Nice studio here. We got the balcony. Look at it's more special this year at Summit than ever before, because at our halftime report with Matt Garman, I said, Matt, it feels like the whole year happened already. So many news, new regions, everything's happening. It's like dog years on the internet. Oh, it feels like dog years. Why one internet yet? AI feels like a decade.
Yes.
I mean, so much has changed. So give us the news. What are you working on here with the news? The big news is here. It's a big showcase for you. I saw the news on the developer agents. Matt Garman announced that before the show.
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah.
Is it Kiro or Kiro?
Kiro.
Okay, got that right. I've been calling it Kiro. I'm just getting it wrong. Kiro. It's not vibe coding. It's very spec-driven. Hooks are in there.
Yeah.
Prototype to production.
Yeah. I mean, so we started off by asking the question, how are developers going to build with agents, really, as agents get more advanced and sophisticated? And as we started talking to our customers, as we started seeing how developers have historically built, how our own developers like to build, this whole idea of spec-driven development and specifications really started shining. And we started testing this out with other customers. And eventually what we ended up, so what people were doing was they were handcrafting sort of these spec-type workflows within whatever they were doing. With Kiro, it's how you work. It's built into how Kiro works. So when you log into Kiro, it tells you basically, do you want to vibe code or do you want to build with specifications? And you can go back and forth. And even your specifications, you don't type them. You have the agent write them for you, and you collaborate with the agent on figuring out what should my requirements be, how should my application be structured. So as the application goes from your little fun prototype to a full application, it grows with you. And we're super excited. The customer response in the last 24 to 48 hours has been absolutely phenomenal. And we'll see where this goes.
So I talked to one of the beta users of that product, and that person said to me, it was a silent winner. And what he meant was, it was a lot like Lambda. It seemed innocent, but until you see the impact of it, you can't imagine what you're doing not using it.
Yeah.
This is kind of where the developer track is going. You've been doing developer work for, I don't know how long at Amazon. I mean, you've been doing it since I remember, but everything now about developers is just about software now, AI. It's a Lambda moment, and last year I think we featured the big blog post that was written last year, highlighting the Lambda breakthrough. Yeah. That an accident, by the way, too. Strands. Matt Garman was raving about Strands, another accident.
Kiro is built on top of Strands.
So, I mean, the magic right now for developers is all-time high because you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But innovation's happening. Can you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So actually, a lot of the features that we build and how they evolve are being directly driven by how developers and customers are using these tools. We have some ideas. We put them into the hands of customers. We did this with specifications early in the Kiro development process. And how they were using it was in some ways, exactly how we expected it, but in some ways, very different from how we expected. So the user experience that you have in the version of Kiro that we launched has evolved a lot from how it started. And that's basically, whether it's with Kiro, whether it's with the QCLI, which is also very popular with developers, they surprise us sometimes because guess what? Our customers, our developers are also learning how to use these tools, how to use agents. And we are learning with them, and that leads to more robust software solutions that results in tools like Kiro that helps everyone be a better developer.
All right, so for the developers, what is it? What's in it for them? Obviously, there's benefits. You mentioned some of them. Share with the developer community out there and at large industry as well. What is the news? Why is it important? What's in it for them?
Yeah. So I think for developers, there's two key pieces, and that we're going to be talking about here at the New York Summit. We obviously launched Kiro, which is an development environment meant for developers who want to build with agents, for them to build robust software. But a lot of our developers, they want to build their own agents. They all want to run their own agents. So what do you need to do that? You need a runtime environment. You need a browser runtime. You need agent identity. You need agent telemetry. You need a code execution sandbox. There's all these capabilities that you need to build and run agents. And so for them, we at New York Summit, we announced, what you're going to hear about a lot is Amazon Bedrock AgentCore. And AgentCore is essentially a set of primitives and services that allows you to build with agents and run agents. So it's all the things that over the last 2 years, as we've been building our own agents, as our customers are building our own agents, we have learned that these are the things needed to build a successful agentic system.
Yeah.
And that's what AgentCore is. In many ways, you can think about it as everything, the tool belt and the services that any individual or a company needs to build a very successful agentic software platform.
One of the exciting things coming out of my conversations, this AI halftime report, that the ecosystem has been the tool chain side of it, tools in general. You mentioned tool belt. Tooling is also becoming a core component.
Yeah.
Use that word core because it's AgentCore. You mentioned that. To offload the costs of using expensive tokens to do things that could be done in tools and with compute.
There's two parts to it. One is maybe you offload some of the work to tools that already exist. You don't need to have the LLM go through that. Sometimes by accessing tools, agents' work gets simplified. But a really good use of tools is sometimes you want agents to not be non-deterministic. Sometimes the best thing an agent can do, and this is what modern LLMs allow you to do is with tool calling is, I need to call an API that does X. I'm not, in the past, some of these LLMs will sometimes invent an API or try and guess what the API was and get it wrong. But now you can just call the API, which is available through an MCP server that you're making available as a tool to the agent. And that's radically changing how some of these agentic architectures work. And it's a great time to be part of sort of this growth.
So on AgentCore, I saw some threads around MCP. Some say brittle security, but everything's brittle. You guys have also announced, I saw Swami post this on LinkedIn and a blog about it, A2A.
Yes.
What's the difference between the two? Are they competing? I mean, Linux Foundation is looking at both.
Yeah.
MCP seems to have a lot of traction more than A2A. Is there a technical difference? Is one stateless, one has state? I mean, how should people think about what to bet on? Or is it more?
I wouldn't go that far. It's very, very early. These protocols, how these will evolve, it's too early to say, oh, this is the one to go. What we have observed is that for tool calling, MCP, everyone's rolling on MCP servers, it seems like that is going to become the most common way of doing it. A2A is for agent-to-agent communication. How does one agent communicate successfully with another? There's obviously going to be overlap as those things evolve. From our perspective, we are on the steering committees of both. Mm-hmm. We were part of the Linux Foundation announcement on A2A. Yeah. We've been part of the MCP project for a while. In fact, Strands, which supports MCP already, now will support A2A and multi-agent architecture.
Explain Strands real quick because it's a big hit that's come out of Amazon. Matt Garman referenced, we had a good chat about it. It was an accident. They built a tool for themselves internally.
Yeah, it was in my team, actually. We built an agent framework to help us build agents. What Strands does is, in the early days, the agent frameworks that had come up, LLMs were limited in what they could do. So those agents had to work around the limitations of those LLMs. But now LLMs are very powerful. So what Strands does is, it actually relies on the underlying model to do a lot of things. It's what we call model-driven architectures. So what Strands will do is it basically drives an agentic loop, which is constantly giving the right context and tools so that the agent can accomplish its goals. So we use Strands to build our own agents. Kiro, QCLI, underneath the hood, they're all Strands. And so Strands has started off with its own tooling, then had MCP, and now supports multi-agent and A2A as well.
You got to say, your team has been quite busy. What's it been like? A quick sidebar here. What's it been like for you? Because this has been the most explosive Cambrian explosion of renaissance, what do you want to call it, for developers. I mean, app dev was a nice little quarter of the industry, open source, building applications. Now everything is impacted.
Yeah. I'll speak a little bit from personal experience as well. I remember when EC2 came out in 2006. I think used it within 2 weeks of its launch. And I remember realizing that this was going to change the world. And in fact, very, 2 years, year and a half later, I joined AWS because it was very clear that EC2 and S3 were going to change the world. Agentic AI feels even bigger. It feels like it is the biggest technology shift that we have seen since the start of the internet. It's going to change how we communicate with our software and our systems. It's going to change how we interact with the world around us. And it's moving at a pace that I've never seen before. So it is a very exciting time to be a builder. I mean, I think I keep telling people, I've not had this much fun in years being a builder because every time you think you know the answers, the world evolves.
It's not boring.
And you have to continuously keep evolving with it.
It's not boring either. Well, I want to bring back something you said earlier because I liked when I asked you about the Kiro, you said spec and then vibe coding. And I know you said customers are using it. And also, I will point out, because you just kind of mentioned it, you guys have been very leaning into developing. And plus the track record at Amazon in coding is really strong. You guys know what you're doing. You're working backwards, the 2 pizza teams, well documented from customers. So when you combine your dog fooding, drinking your own champagne, you guys are building your own AI muscles internally, writing a ton of code, using code assistants. So cool. I got confidence you know what you're doing there. What I'm more interested in is how that translates, combine the customer working backwards process. Yeah. You mentioned there's some surprises came out of that. Can you share more about that piece of it? Because that's like the perfect, I would say, go-to-market new thing I've ever seen in the industry, which is, hey, we have coding skills or we have product skills, product-led growth or whatever. Hey, customer, buy this, versus that's the old model. You guys now have this motion where it's like, you're not selling it, you're introducing it. And you're getting looped back into requirements. Yeah.
So, I mean, the feedback loop from customers is awesome. I mean, I'll actually talk about the QCLI a little bit because it's been out for a few months. QCLI wasn't, with LLMs and foundation models and agents, sometimes the only way to figure out what's the right thing to do is to build it. And then, of course, we do build our go into our working backwards process because we still want to work backwards from what customers are doing. But sometimes even for customers to think through what they want out of it, you have to put some things into their hands. And that's one of the most exciting things that happened in the last, because this is evolving so quickly. We are able to build these things very quickly, get them into the hands of customers. And that's when they start giving us that feedback on how they would use it. That allows us to go back and then get back to our working backwards process. Like, this is exactly what we're going to build, knowing very well, but that in 6 months, a new model will come out, the new protocol will come out, and the world's going to change again. But that's part of the fun of it.
Is there a ceiling limit that requires human intervention right now that you're seeing hit? Obviously, the Nova models are coming out as well. We're going to hear that big time. That's going to help more.
Yeah.
So as more of these models come in, again, model diversity, Matt Garman said it, 2 years ago, no, 3 years ago, all models should play well. Hence, Bedrock's been doing well. Is there a ceiling right now that all this efficiency and speed is still kind of a human ceiling there or not? What's your reaction?
I think the way we think about this is, the way we work is changing as we speak, right? You are getting, there's an example of Formula One where they built agents to do root cause analysis. This is a process that took them weeks. This from telemetry from their vehicles. Now they have an AI agent that allows them to get this done 86% faster than they used to. Things that used to take a week now happen in a day. Mm-hmm. So they've significantly reduced the time that it does to do root cause analysis. So the question becomes is, now if you can move that quickly, you can do, where is the next bottleneck? Sometimes it's human, sometimes it's process. We are all learning.
Yeah.
I do think, at least from my perspective, what agentic AI is doing is making us as practitioners significantly more effective, allowing us to do more complex and more. It's also lowered the barrier to entry, which allows people to get involved.
So Deepak, this news this week, what portion's your team, what parts is yours, and what parts are intersecting into the other news?
Yeah, I'll speak more broadly. Obviously, Kiro came out of my team. That's where we spend our time. Strands is started in my organization. Now it's part of the overall agentic AI efforts that we have right now. And then, what you're hearing about at the New York Summit is a combination of all the work that's happening across the agentic AI organization at AWS. You've heard Swami and Matt talk about a lot, and we'll continue shipping.
The foundation news, Nova news is big.
That's right.
That's strong. Customization has been a big thing. I've heard from some people prior to the event that the idea of using abstractions, a concept that you guys know very well at AWS, we're around LLMs, around tooling, is a new kind of way, but kind of the game is still the same, right? I mean, what's the similarities between some of these new optimization techniques? Atul Dio mentioned this in my feature with him in Seattle a couple weeks ago. What are some of the highlights that people can think about abstracting away? Because no one wants to, they don't want to pay too much for tokens they don't need.
Yeah, so I think this is where agents help a lot. Because what builders are doing with agents is abstracting some of that thinking away from the end user. The end user solving problems. The end user could be a developer, it could be a business analyst, it could be somebody shopping at a website. When you're building agents, you make decisions. Decisions could be, I'm going to use a different LLM for different parts of my app. It could be, here I'm not even going to use an LLM, I'm going to do a tool call. Those are decisions that the developer of the agent is making, and the end user is just using it. So the ability to abstract away some of this decision making from the end user is a big part of how we think about things. And AgentCore, Kiro, the whole MCP ecosystem, Bedrock, which gives you access to different types of models, the work you're doing in Nova on customization, all of that play a role in that.
I saw Jim Zemlin last week at the Raise conference where we were both speaking. I did theCUBE there. The industry was there. So a good time. Everyone's this summer. Wimbledon was happening. A lot of action. The conversation we had was, I remember when KubeCon started, Kubernetes came out. You remember those days very well. We had many chats about it on theCUBE, actually. CNCF commercialized our Linux Foundation program called, they created the CNCF. The cloud native ecosystem was born at that point.
That's right.
Okay, look where we are today. The work that was done with Kubernetes is kind of set that DevSecOps platform. It is app dev as we know it. That's a core part of your team and companies does. There's tons of developer activity, tons of builders. That's now going to be the foundational element for the next AI stack that's emerging that you guys are actively working on. So, it seems like there's going to be another CNCF-like moment coming for MCP and A2A, because it's too important not to because it's almost, I think of almost two parts of the stack. The AI piece and then CNCF. You got cloud native and then everything else. It's like, and everyone's rallied around Kubernetes and all those services around that. Wow. We need to see something similar at the top. What's your vision on that? Because
I think it's too early. Mostly because, that is very likely. If you
I'm just saying, let me rephrase. Don't speculate on the list. They probably will do it, but more about developers, because they're having that similar, I'm seeing a similar pattern of, what do I rally around? MCP has been great for that. What else do you see? Because that's moving very, very fast.
I actually go back to the start to the internet, actually. This is more in tune with that. There'll be elements of CNCF, etc. But if you go back to the start of the internet, you started off with www and bitnet and all of these other things, and eventually people realized that the properties of www is what went on and what we all, and HTTP is what we started building on. I think it could be MCP, it could be A2A. I think it's still early enough in this that some of these, what the world will look like in 5 years, I think it's premature to say this is how it's going to happen. I think a lot of it will happen organically, because a lot of these things.
MCP was pretty much organic.
Yeah, exactly.
What is popping out that you like that's organic? You got AgentCore. That's going to create tooling. Is it the tooling side that's getting?
There's going to be a set of the way we think about things like AgentCore is MCP is great, A2A is great. New things will may come out.
It is.
How do you provide a standard set of services on top of that, where you can go from, like, you went from HTTP 1 to 2 to 3, didn't matter. You had services that supported that. That's what we'll do. It shouldn't matter what the standards are at frameworks at any point in time. So AgentCore, for example, supports LangChain, Crew AI, Strands. It's agent framework agnostic. It's also LLM agnostic, because the world's always changing. And at some point of time, it'll get to a point where people will decide, we need an IETF setup.
Standards are good right now. We could use some standards, because it gets people go faster. All right, so I have to ask you, we're at the midpoint, halftime report we did to reInvent's almost 6 months away, a little less now. A lot's happened. You covered some of the mega highlights on your team. Swami's been super busy. My land's got S3 tables booming. I'm sure we're going to hear a bunch of stuff there. Describe the first half of the year. How would you sum up the accomplishments? Are notable accomplishments that you can point to for you and AWS at large? And then how does that telegraph what's going into the reInvent second half?
Yeah, I'll call it the year of Agentic. If you look at Strands, you look at QCLI, you look at Kiro, you look at the work that's happened in Bedrock over the last, you look at MCP, you look at A2A, that's been the conversation. You look at the reasoning models that have come out, whether it's models like Nova, whether it's Sonnet 3.7 and Sonnet 4.0, this year is where you can truly say, this is the year Agentic became something that was not, only a few people were doing it, became mainstream. And I think over the next 6 months over here, making agents how we all interact, as I said, not just with our tools, but also with the world around us. That's going to be where we are headed over the next few years.
You mentioned glue earlier in our chat. The glue layer, I always love that term because it's kind of like it doesn't really mean much. But glue is glue. There's actually a meaning to that. How would you describe for the people watching, if I'm an app dev person, I'm a builder, what can I expect? How should I get my mindset? I'm an athlete. I want to get ready for the big game that's happening out in the arena. What's the takeaway from AgentCore? I said OpenCore. AgentCore. How should I be rethinking my role? What should I be looking at? How should I pique my curiosity? How should I orientate myself?
I would say the easiest thing to do is to find a developer tool like Kiro or QCLI, pick up a framework like Strands, and start building. AgentCore is only going to make that easier because then we have a standard set of APIs that let you do that. There's never been a better time to be a builder.
I was talking to a friend. You're a master class. I want to get this a little more advice here for young people because careers are changing. And if you're under 30, the job market is hot if you can just embrace these tools. So you just nailed the developer side. Thank you very much. Let's go to the other side. Most people are coming out of college with some really good degrees from some universities. The old track was be a product manager or go into banking or finance or specialty field. Those jobs are shrinking because of the good opportunities. And so what's happening is it's empowering agency and creative problem solving initiative, or what's the principle for you guys at Amazon?
Invent and simplify is one. My actually favorite one.
Bias for action.
Yeah. My favorite one is actually one we use for our principal engineering community, which is called Illuminate and Clarify.
Illuminate and Clarify, yeah.
Yeah, people have to get really good at, because you're now working with an agent and you're giving it, you're helping it, you're clarifying for it.
Remember when I first started coding, it's like you got to write the code down to compile it. If you talked to it properly, it would run.
That would be the specific. You would actually write a specification on paper.
Yeah,
that's what Kiro does.
Like illuminate and amplify, illuminate,
clarify,
and clarify.
I love that one.
I love bias for action. You got a great principles. Yeah. Okay, so for that generation, they're coming out, and this is specific. I've had asked this question many times from my own family, friends, and relatives, and just strangers on the street. What do I do? Now, product management is accelerated too with agents because now the tools coming out for how to build a product. So how should someone think about being a product manager or getting into some of that business side that leans into engineering, that were waterfall based or agile based? I mean, the method, things are in parallel now. They're happening all at once, you mentioned. So what's the role of that person? What should they study? The product side.
I don't think you need to study anything differently. Study what you want. I actually think it's how you think. Embrace the tools. Yeah. They are only going to get better. Every day you use a tool, it's probably the worst it's going to be. It's only going to get better. I came out of product management. If you think about, I'll speak in terms of Kiro, but it applies to non-technical things also. The first thing that Kiro does is write a specification. The first thing in the specification is requirements. It's written with user stories. Yeah. So the interaction between a product manager and an engineer now can be done in code as opposed to like starting a random PRD somewhere, etc. You can actually collaborate in different ways than you ever could. Yeah. As long as you get comfortable knowing that yes, it's different and it's okay, but you actually at the end of it going to be more effective and faster, people will be fine. These make you better. Yeah.
I think that this EC2 moment, a Lambda moment, I mean, obvious to us in the trenches, and I think people just got to be comfortable. Final question, looping back to what I asked earlier, second half of the year as we go to reInvent, what's on your radar? What can we expect to see?
Yeah.
I know you guys don't like to give away some of the reInvent content, but
I'll talk pretty simply. I think you'll see more and more people building agents. Today's agents are very often most agentic applications are single agent applications. You'll start seeing much more multi-agent orchestration, multi-agent applications out there. Yeah. From a software development side, you're going to see the spec-driven approach become much more. I think you'll see a ton of interesting innovation there. And I think what you'll also start seeing is people being more comfortable handing off tasks to an agent to do while they're doing other more creative things.
I'm so excited for you, Deepak. I know how hard you work, grateful for your effort, love the Amazon goodness comes out of it. But it's a Cambrian explosion. It's an intersection of, technology transformation, business transformation, all happening at once.
Yeah.
It's super special time. Thanks for coming on theCUBE.
No, thanks for having me. It's always exciting talking in these exciting times.
Deepak Singh and AWS, they're leaning in, building their AI muscle. They said they would, they are. They're bringing in customer feedback. New requirements coming in directly from customers. Vibe coding, Vibe product, what do you want to call it, is building a better product, and the things happening so fast. Of course, theCUBE is doing its best part to bring that to you. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. Thanks for watching.